In 2005, Marvel was a zombie company. They had survived bankruptcy in the late 90s, but they were barely hanging on by selling off their best characters to survive. X-Men was at Fox, Spider-Man was at Sony. Marvel was getting pennies for every dollar those movies made. Determined to own their own destiny, they made a move that would be considered financial suicide today. They went to Merrill Lynch and took out a $525 million loan. But look at the fine print. The collateral for that loan wasn't cash, it was the film rights to their remaining characters. If Marvel's first independent movie failed, the bank would legally seize the rights to the Avengers, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Nick Fury, and Captain America. Marvel wasn't just making a movie, they were betting the house. If Iron Man bombed, Marvel Studios would have ceased to exist in 2008, and your favorite heroes would be owned by a group of investment bankers in New York. Director Jon Favreau knew that for this gamble to work, he needed a lead who felt dangerous. He wanted Robert Downey Jr., but to the Marvel board, RDJ was radioactive. He was just a few years removed from high-profile arrests and was considered uninsurable, meaning if he missed a single day of filming, the insurance company wouldn't cover the loss, and the $525 million loan would default. The studio's response to Favreau was a flat. Under no circumstances are we prepared to hire him for any price. But Favreau fought back, arguing that Downey's real-life redemption story was Tony Stark's story. RDJ eventually sat for a screen test that is now legendary. He worked for 3 weeks on 3 specific scenes to prove he was sober and professional. By the way, because he was such a risk, his starting salary was only $500,000. Compare that to the $100 million he is reportedly being paid for his 2026 return as Dr. Doom. It's the greatest ROI in Hollywood history. You'd think a $140 million movie, which ballooned with marketing, would have a locked script. It didn't. Jeff Bridges, who played Obadiah Stane, famously said it felt like a $200 million student film. Every morning, Favreau, Downey, and Bridges would sit in a trailer, calling up writers on the phone, including Shane Black, who RDJ secretly consulted for dialogue, asking, "You got any ideas for what we should say today?" The crew would be standing on the stage while the actors improvised the dialogue in real time. The famous cheeseburger press conference, almost entirely improvised. RDJ wanted to capture the frantic energy of a man who just survived a cave. Because they didn't have a rigid script, the movie felt loose, funny, and grounded. A massive contrast to the stiff, superhero movies of the early 2000s. The most iconic line in the MCU wasn't in the plan. In the comics, Tony Stark keeps his identity secret for years. But during the final day of shooting the press conference, Downey decided to ditch the secret identity card. He looked at the cameras and simply said, "I am Iron Man." Marvel boss Kevin Feige loved it instantly. He realized that sticking to the comics wasn't as important as being true to the character. That one ad-lib told the world the MCU wouldn't be bound by old tropes. When the movie opened to $98 million and went on to gross $585 million, the loan was paid off. The bank didn't get the Avengers. Instead, Disney stepped in with a $4 billion check to buy the company, and the Infinity Saga was born. Without that $525 million gamble and a broken actor who refused to take no for an answer, the MCU wouldn't exist. Iron Man didn't just save the world on screen, he saved an entire industry. Which part of the MCU history should we cover next? The cursed production of The Incredible Hulk, or the truth behind the 2026 Doctor Doom casting? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.